So we all love to tell stories about ourselves, especially those who are habitual of chirping around and as a are have a bubbly nature. But when we come to writing books, in fact, writing today has become so tiring, so a tedious procedure for most of us. We even can't type. We forgot how to write proper words, frame proper sentences with proper punctuation. So that is gone. And anyways, there's no use delving into that. So when it comes to actual painting the picture in the form of words, we read about Harry Potter, and when we read about words such as wizards or a hippogriff flying, so immediately that image develops in our mind. So this literature work, the Nobel Prize also, it respects and recognizes that fact that what the author is trying to recreate, the experiences that he or she has dealt with, or she has gone through, the atrocities, the hardships, the sorrows, the joys, whatever he or she has experienced, he or she wishes to communicate. Now, the important difference or the important concept that we normally come across is the autobiography, which is very different from memoir. Actually, memoir, the pronunciation is memoir. I just checked. It is spelled MEMOIRS. So the current Annie Ernaux, she has developed a memoir which has received the Nobel Prize for literature. We'll be discussing the interesting aspect again, not only the literature, but what exactly distinguishes an autobiography from a memoir, and what Annie Ernaux has done that has made her stand apart. Basically, she has been awarded for the courage and clinical acuity with which she uncovers the roots, estrangements, and collective restraints of personal memory. So basically, when we talk about a memoir, it's basically or specifically about introspection. The author or person is looking inside him or her. Whatever, it's something of a compulsion, and it's something of a dubious nature. Its memoir normally deals with some issues that an author feels embarrassed to talk about, but at the same time is compelled to share them with the larger audience, with a larger part of the world, in the hope that people would understand him or her, or they might sympathize, or they might appreciate with the hurdles or the successes or whatever he or she has gone through his or her lifetime. Autobiography, on the other hand, is more uh, renowned or more associated with prolific historical figures. Like we know about My Experiments with Truth, an autobiography by Mahatma Gandhi, or Discovery of India by Jawaharlal Nehru, Wings of Fire by the Missile Man of India, APJ Abdul Kalam. So these type of they stand apart from the memoirs. So these basically, some of them have propagated peace, some of them have played a very important role in the freedom process, they have contributed a lot to the society and the world at large. Whereas memoirs, on the other hand, they concentrate basically on the personal journeys, the personal, and they also focus on various political, socio-economic issues, the estrangement from the society, the disconnect that a person feels, or when what feelings or expressions, what goes in and out of the mind while living in a particular ghetto or community, how distinct that is, how the cultures mingle with each other. If a person goes out, the immigrants go out and they try to preserve their own religion, their tradition and culture, and try to amalgamate themselves with the larger population, with the foreign alien population. So this is what is So in her book spanning over 6 decades, Ernox has chronicled events in her life ranging from growing up as the daughter of grocers to getting an abortion even before it was legalized in France. So talking about such delicate and personal matters is with such clinical acuity is sort of encouraging for other people, especially at a time when a lot of things are becoming taboo, or they are escaping taboo also, or some unhindered restrictions or unhindered liberties are getting, and the lines or the Lakshman Rekha, they are getting, it is getting blurred. So through these, she has also captured the anxieties and prevailing issues of her generation. So I would say that that capability, such Nobel prizes might inspire the upcoming youth to write more and more. Then what is a memoir? So some important example, this is the picture of Maya Angelou. If you have heard of her, she she was an important civil rights as activist, a poet, uh, an author, a Nobel laureate also. She is being awarded with the President's Medal by then President Barack Obama. So she wrote this book, I Know Why the Caged Bird Sings. So it was about the racial discrimination prevalent during that time. Then there is an example of Ernest Hemingway's, a famous author or poet, A Movable Feast. Then this, if you have watched this movie, Eat, Pray and Love, it is Eat, Pray and Love, starring Julia Roberts. So basically, Eat, Pray, this is based on an actual memoir written by Elizabeth Gilbert about. So this movie, although very famous, but it portrays her travels and her journey across various places throughout the world. Then so basically, memoir, most easily defined as a non-fiction first-person narrative derived from the writer's own memories and knowledge. It is generally supposed to recount a slice of life and not an entire lifetime. When we study about experiments with truth or discovery of India, a lot of different scenarios, and particularly in a chronological order, how the events surfaced, what were the causes, what caused the beginnings, what were the impetuses behind those events, those are all chronicled, or those are all delved into in an autobiography. But these are just non-chronological or disparate movements which bring out the internal feelings or expressions of that particular author. Then ideally this slice would be about a particular aspect or event in the author's life that acts as an overarching theme. For example, when we discussed in the introduction, Annie Erlock's in her memoir, she discusses about how she's grown up as son or as a daughter of the grocers, and even she has had undergone abortion when it was not legalized. And today we are also talking about abortion being illegalized in some of the states in the United States of America. Then American poet Maya Angelou's Why the Caged Bird Sings depicts her childhood and adolescence marked by sexual trauma and acts of racism. Then another popular example is Piper Kerman's Orange is the New Black, which tells the story of the author's year in prison after being convicted for drug trafficking and money laundering. So you can see how particular slices of life, a particular slice of that orange, particular slice of that pizza is deliberately is being deliberated by that particular author. Then what is an autobiography? So if you have heard about David Copperfield by Charles Dickens, a famous author of yesteryears, then APJ Abdul Kalam's, I have already discussed Wings of Fire, and we have already know about Mahatma Gandhi and Jawaharlal Nehru's autobiographies. So some differences, this would give you a better idea. So I'll just move here and give you the differences. So supposed to be a slice of life, covers the entire span of author's life till the time of writing. Can be written by anyone with a story to tell, usually written by an already famous or noteworthy person. Places greater emphasis on the author's interior journey and are more introspective in nature, tends to highlight facts and the role played by the author in important historical events like Mahatma Gandhi in the or other freedom fighters in the freedom movements. Then tends to have non-linear narration with episodes from different parts of the author's life woven together, and more often than not written in chronological order. So that is what the basic difference is. I think it makes more interesting. So what makes a memoir a compelling read? So this is clear from what we have discussed till now. Emphasis on experiences we would rather keep to ourselves than acknowledge. There are plenty of dark secrets, plenty of experiences, which we not might not want to share, and yet feel reluctantly compelled to confess. That impulse, that intuition, anticipation of the people, how they would respond, how they would react to their confessions, is also because of this aspect. Shame, guilt, secrecy work their way to the surface in the hope that a sympathetic audience may emerge and understand. Obviously, when you're talking about such taboo topics like abortion, even when today also it is looked upon with the demeaning nature, so at that time also it would have been quite embarrassing for Annie Ernaux. So how does Annie Ernaux fit in? How she's choose? Because other people might have also been considered for their memoirs or literary pride. So Ernaux has been long celebrated for a simple yet effective prose dealing with depth of the various events that shaped it. What sets her apart is exploring her own memories. She is acutely aware that they are not infallible, and thus she distrusts her memory. So for example, although she is confessing, she is ready to spill out the beans of her slice of life, but still she thinks that her memory is not infallible, that it might make mistakes, it might create some incidences which might not project the accurate or the exact picture of the events that actually took place in her slice of life. So she has also said in that report that she does not want to remember sometimes, because it's that out of impulse, that is out of compulsion, that she has written that memoir. Then understanding of role played by historical and social political environment, one of the important components which I have already discussed. In this sense, her writings are more comparable to that of an archaeologist than a novelist. So an archaeologist, like we have already discussed in the medicine Nobel, that when the archaeologists work, they try to separate. If we study about excavate the Indus civilization or the Mayan civilization or the Inca civilization or various relics, then we try to recreate what would have happened or what tradition or culture would have pertained or existed during those times. So that is why our writings are comparable to that of an archaeologist, that of an inscription. Then personal memory are crucial to piecing together of an and through that a society. So it also might help to create a larger impression, to create an imprint on the society as a whole. So this was the basic thing about the literature, which is, as I had mentioned in the beginning, one of the most sought after literature, because it's, although many might not know the difference between autobiography and memoir. And for the general update also, our one of our Indians, Gitanjali Shri, recently won the Man Booker Prize. It's another sort of prize in literature, not same as Nobel. So her book was Tomb of Sand. So some current affairs are to be studied. There is a Pulitzer Prize also. So all these need to be studied. But we'll meet again with the last Nobel Prize in the next video.